my friends, welcome back to the channel. I am Natalie Walsh. We are going to play with lots of little die cuts from PaperRose today. This was a pack that was actually sent to me in my recent delivery. And if you buy, this is the Butterfly Gardens ephemera pack, which is what you mostly see here. And there was a little bit from the Sunny Days. So I think the hearts were from the Sunny Days. I can't quite remember. But you will have a lot more die cuts in your pack when you buy it. As I said, this was sent to me. These are my embossing folders from PaperRose. I do not have very many. I do have the little dot on them just so I can easily see which one's PaperRose, basically. This is called Hand Stitching 1, and we've trimmed this out. I'm going to trim this down, actually. I think it is going to be 14.1 centimeters by 9.7, this panel here, and it's just going to give us a nice soft little background. I mean, you could leave it behind, but it's just going to take the card up to that little level. I'm also going to have a blue mat to my embossed panel, and that's going to be 10 centimeters by 14.9. That's my go-to numbers for Australian card bases. We've got to make sure that's Australian card bases. This little leafy wreath did have a happy birthday on it, but I decided that I needed a little bit slightly bigger leaves to around my circle on my wreath, and that you're not going to see it. It's going to be hidden behind everything else. So of course, if you look at it from, at an angle, you're going to see it. But I don't know. To me, I don't mind. This is a little bit of clear liquid glue from PaperRose, of course, and I got really, really heavy-handed. I am new to their glue. I am loving it, but I'm new to glue, so I tend to press it a little bit too hard. My head's going to get in the way a couple of times looking at these cards, because we're going to make 3 cards. So I hope you don't mind, but sometimes we need to get over these things to give it a good look. Give it a nice press down. I held it there for a couple of minutes just to make sure it was glued. There's going to be a lot of flapping of hands, because originally speaking, this video was going to be live, but there was just way too much jibber jabber, basically. And if you know me at all, I do work with my hands an awful lot in the sense of sign language, Australian Sign Language. So yeah, I do use my hands a fair bit in that regard to talk. Anywho, I've got the So Extra sentiment pack, the black So Extra, there is a white, and I've also got the little sentiment strip die, which is just going to help me cut it out nice and straight, because I am terrible at cutting it out straight. I'm just going to run my bone folder over the back of that. My little die leaves a little bit of a mark that sometimes I just don't want that little die cut mark, but that's all right. Now, I have some little strips of cardstock. Now, I do think I die cut these out of a slightly bigger, because originally speaking, I was going to mat that up, but then I decided not to. So we're going to trim those down a little bit. These don't have to be perfect. And if you saw the card or you saw me when I was doing it, you would know they're not perfect. But this is going to help me give a little bit of a layer to the sentiment strips without actually giving it like an awful lot, because my sentiment strips, foam sentiment strips that I have, are really quite high. So this is just going to give a little bit of dimension. I have other means and other things I could do, but I just decided I was going to use this. So almost at the end of card number 1. The next thing we've got is some little clear drops. This is the mixed clear drops. I should be using my little PaperRose trays, but I didn't. I don't know why, but it would be much more neater and nicer if I had off. But they are super handy for containing your little bits and pieces, your sequins, your drops, your even die cuts really. I'm just going to stick those down with a little bit of glue and get my hand out of my drops. This is what I like to show you. I'm going to show you in the course of my videos what we might say is warts and all. So the mistakes, so hopefully you will learn from mistakes and the successes. So card number 2. This is the same again. This panel is 14.9 by 10 centimeters, and I've just gone around the edges 1 inch. Now it is inches this time. We are doing it in inches only because that is what my scoreboard comes in. So it's 1 inch, half an inch, not 1 inch, half an inch from each end, just to give a little frame. See, again, we've got a happy birthday. And I'm just going to layer up all these little ephemera bits until I'm happy with them. This one's going to be relatively simple yet again. The next card is the same, but we're going to take it up a notch, I think we're going to take it up a notch by adding a few more little ephemera pieces, and we're going to use them as extra texture, extra interest into the card. So again, like the reefs that we have, we've got the happy birthday reef, we've got a thinking of you one in the last card, and we're not going to see those sentiments at all. So that's what I'm going to do. There's a lot of fiddling with foam tape in this card, in the next 2 cards actually. And I'm just going to go through and raise up the edges of my butterflies. So they're going to stick down, but they're still going to have that little bit of depth to them. And the last card, we didn't do that. So, you know, as it goes through the mail, it might be flattened slightly, but it's going to be it's still going to have that little bit of dimension. And this one, we're forcing it to have dimension. Again, a lot of foam. That you don't need to see me apply foam tape everywhere, but I left it in there just so you can see where I placed it. So that is our little floral arrangement. Now I'm going to put, originally I was going to put this like double the layer. Later on I decided to have the, where it's sitting over the flowers, it was going to be flat, and then give it some support on the edges. But in the end, I've decided to double the foam on the edges, so it's still up a little bit higher again. So there's lots of dimension in this card. So we're just going to put all our little bits of foam tape everywhere. And I did warn you that there's a lot of playing with tape in this card. Next, we're going to bring in those little hearts. I thought they were really pretty. I thought they were really, really nice little color, and it blended in with a little bit of the butterfly. Again, we've got a mixture of what we're going to do. We've got glue on the top of our heart with foam tape on the bottom. I decided I needed a little bit of extra support underneath my reef there. So we're just going to tuck him under there a little bit, which can sometimes be a little bit difficult, but where there's a will, there's a way. The next 2 little hearts that we've got are just going to be flat. I'm going to tuck him in, just figure out where to place this little dude. And again, just flat with a little bit of glue. And I'm just putting little drops here, there, and everywhere. And clearly changing my mind on where to position them as we go. I decided I didn't want the thanks. I thought it was just too big. I thought this nice little hello, again, it's out of the So Extra sentiment pack. You've got the white and the black sentiment pack. So white writing with a black background and the black writing on the white background. And this just says hello, and we're just going to tuck him in a little bit when I get my hands around in the right place. I just tucked in the background. Next we have a little bit of a glaze pen. Now if you don't know about glaze pens, they are sort of like a jelly roll pen, but they're a little bit more raised. That's how I would describe them. So they're sort of like enamel dots, but really super tiny. This is an older paper pad. We've got the Arabella Gardens. I really liked this flower background. There's going to be another one that I'll grab. Just making sure that that's the one I want. And I just really like the fact that it's already got the flowers there. It's already got the watermark in the background, the watercolor in the background. So we're just going to trim that down again to 14.9 by 10 centimeters. I do tell you it's my go-to measurements. And I like that. It's just soft. We're going to go through the ephemera bits and pieces and figure out the piece that I like. I really liked that larger with the white because it sort of still left a little bit, but that's so much better, isn't it? That's so much better because you've already got the pink in the background. You've got the pink. So mixing and matching is possible. Again, a lot of foam tape. We're just going to, and I'm not putting, I will add a little bit later on around the edges, but for the time being, I'm not going to add too much around the outer edge because we're going to tuck little elements in behind this. So if you're not yet subscribed, it would be wonderful you hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell, and that will let you know when we upload, and you get to see it first. So these two cards are very similar, but as I said, we're trying to take this one up to the next level a little bit more. They're easy in the sense that they're die cuts. You don't have to do too much with them, but they are a little bit more complicated only because we're tucking and adding little bits and pieces. So we've got the love little tag, but as you can see, we're going to just make that a thing of interest in the background rather than the focus that it might have originally intended to be. So we've got So Sweet. We've got a little blue, it looks very blue, but it's not quite so blue. Little leafy sprig there that I've just trimmed up. So we're going to use a couple of panels, a couple of bits of that over the card. And now we can start gluing things down. Just using a little bit of our glue. Most of these elements are going to be flat. The So Sweet is going to be raised up. And so all these, the love and the little bluey leaves are just going to be added interest to the card. And as you can still see, you can see part of the original paper in the background with the, as in the flowers. Of course, you can see the original paper. As I said, my head's going to get in the background. I'm just going to make sure it's straight. Which is just, it just makes it easier. You know, not half the work, but some of the work is already done for you. So you might as well use that. And it's a pretty piece of paper on its own. We've got the sentiment strips out again for our sentiment, and we've got You Are. Just going to burnish the die cutting mark down a little bit. And then we're going to trim off the You Are. So we're going to read, it's going to read, You Are So Sweet. So I like that. So the So Sweet, we're going to raise up and we're going to add a little bit. This is where I'm just talking about adding a little bit more into the original flowery ephemera piece, the die cut. We're just going to tuck that extra piece onto our sentiment. Yeah, so that is pretty much my 3 cards. We're almost done with our cards. Let me know which one you liked the best. As I said, number 2 and 3 are very similar in design. We've just tried to take this number 3 up a little bit more. And yeah, I really liked how they turned out. So I hope you like them. As I said, I'm still playing with the foam. There is a lot to deal with. It's not so easy to take once it's off the backing sheet, to take the backing off both sides. If you cut it all off, one side's not too bad, but then when you take the backing off the second side, it's not so easy. Is that just me? I don't know. The UR is going to be glued down flat, and again I'm going to bring in the foam tape for the backing panel, and then we're going to grab some of that glaze pen, because we've got, I'll tell you what, my reasoning behind this one. The only thing that we have that is black is the UR. So with the glaze pen being very, very fine dots of the and the So Sweet. Okay, the writing in the So Sweet. So You Are So Sweet is the only black bits that we've got. So adding a little bit of the glaze pen is going to give it a little bit more unity over the whole card. So that's my theory behind it. So as I said, the glaze pen leaves that little bit of dimension without having it too high and clearly not being flat. So we still have lots and lots and lots of ephemera pieces there to play with. So these are my 3 cards. There's a lot of butterflies in there. I hope you like it. I hope you're well. I wish you all the best. Take care, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.